Kody Brown has a massive problem, and that problem is the truth. For nearly 16 years, cameras have followed every manipulative move, every calculated threat, and every self-serving outburst this man has made. And now, all of that footage is coming back to haunt him in ways he never anticipated. The reality television proof is going viral, and Kody Brown's deepest fears are finally being exposed for the entire world to see. What makes this situation so explosive is that Kody essentially built the case against himself. Every threat he made to Christine about child support, every paranoid rant about his reputation, every screaming match where he demanded loyalty while giving none in return, all of it was captured on camera. He signed up for a documentary about his life, and now that documentary serves as an undeniable receipt of exactly who he is and how he treated the women who devoted decades to him. The timing of everything unfolding right now could not be more damaging for the Sister Wives patriarch. His so-called apology tour during season 20 comes suspiciously close to Christine's tell-all memoir hitting shelves. Her book, titled Sister Wife, A Memoir of Faith, Family, and Finding Freedom, promises to expose the darker truths that the cameras could not fully capture. And Kody knows exactly what is coming. He has always known, because from the very beginning of Christine's departure, his biggest concern was never about losing his family or healing relationships. His biggest concern was about Christine going around the country telling people that he is a bad person. Those are his own words, captured forever on film. Kody literally admitted on camera that his primary fear about Christine leaving was not about his children, not about his marriage, not about his faith. It was about his reputation. He was terrified that she would expose him for who he really is. And everything he has done since that moment has been about damage control, about getting ahead of the narrative, about trying to rewrite history before the women he discarded can tell their side of the story. But here is the thing Kody failed to understand. You cannot rewrite history when that history has been broadcast to millions of viewers across the country. You cannot claim you were a good husband when footage exists of you screaming at your wives for criticizing you. You cannot pretend you were a devoted father when the receipts show you visited your own daughter only 3 times in over 800 days. The evidence is overwhelming, and it is all self-inflicted. Sources close to the situation suggest that Kody's sudden interest in apologizing has less to do with genuine spiritual awakening and everything to do with strategic positioning. Christine's custody lawsuit, her upcoming book, and the unraveling of his carefully constructed image have forced his hand. He is not seeking redemption, he is seeking survival. And the 15 years of documented reality television footage prove exactly why he should be afraid of the truth finally coming out. The threats Kody Brown made to Christine were not subtle suggestions or gentle warnings. They were calculated intimidation tactics designed to keep her silent and compliant. And every single word was captured on camera for the world to witness. When Christine made the decision to leave, Kody did not respond with sadness or reflection. He responded with financial threats that revealed exactly where his priorities have always been. In one of the most damning exchanges ever recorded on Sister Wives, Kody looked directly at Christine and warned her about what would happen if she pursued child support. He told her that if she got a boyfriend who wanted some of their money between her, her boyfriend, and the state of Utah, he would lose all access to Truly and all of his money. Let that sink in for a moment. His immediate concern was not about maintaining a relationship with his daughter. It was about protecting his wallet from anyone who might hold him financially accountable. But Kody did not stop there. He went further, explicitly threatening Christine about the legal consequences of pursuing what she and Truly were rightfully owed. He warned her that if she took him to court for child support, he would go after all of her money, and the lawyers would get everything. He painted a picture designed to terrify her into submission, suggesting that pursuing her legal rights would result in total financial devastation for her and her children. Fast forward to September 2024, and Christine finally called his bluff. She filed a paternity suit and custody petition in Utah court, demanding child support for their 14-year-old daughter, Truly. The lawsuit requested the court establish legal paternity since Kody's name never even appeared on Truly's birth certificate. She also sought retroactive child support, potentially dating back 4 years under Utah law. Reports suggest Kody could owe approximately $100,000 in back payments alone. The court quickly classified this as a significant custody dispute, the most serious category reserved for high-conflict cases. Mandatory mediation was scheduled, and the possibility of a guardian ad litem being appointed to represent Truly's interests became very real. Everything Kody threatened Christine about was now playing out in the exact legal arena he tried so desperately to keep her away from. And here is the ultimate irony. While fighting Christine's child support claims in court, Kody and Robyn purchased a massive $2.1 million mansion in Flagstaff. The optics could not be worse for a man claiming he cannot afford to support his own children. His recorded threats threats about lawyers taking all the money ring hollow when he is signing mortgage documents for a sprawling estate with 7 bathrooms and space for 7 vehicles. The footage does not lie, the court documents do not lie, and Christine is no longer afraid to fight for what her daughter deserves, regardless of every threat Kody made to intimidate her into silence. If you want to understand what truly drives Kody Brown, you need look no further than his own words. In one of the most revealing confessionals ever captured on Sister Wives, Kody admitted something that explains everything about his behavior. He said nothing scares him but poverty. Not losing his children, not destroying his marriages, not damaging his family beyond repair, poverty, money. That is what keeps Kody Brown awake at night. But there is another fear that runs even deeper, and he exposed it during one of his most paranoid rants about Christine leaving. Kody stated plainly that he did not want her going around the country telling people that he is a bad person. This was not a passing concern. This was an obsession. His reputation, his image, his carefully constructed persona as the patriarch of a loving plural family meant everything to him. The thought of being publicly exposed as the villain in his own story terrified him to his core. And when you understand this fear, suddenly every decision Kody has made starts to make perfect sense. His anger toward Christine was never really about her leaving. It was about what she might say once she was free from his control. His rage toward Janelle and his sons was never about their behavior during the pandemic. It was about them criticizing him publicly and making him look bad on television. Every meltdown, every accusation of betrayal, every claim that his family turned against him traces back to this singular obsession with how people perceive him. Kody even revealed his true philosophy during an earlier season when discussing polygamy itself. He looked into the camera and said with a smirk, "It is all ego, baby." Those 4 words tell you everything you need to know about this man. His entire existence revolves around feeding his ego, protecting his ego, and destroying anyone who threatens his ego. The wives were never partners to him. They were supporting characters in the Kody Brown show, expected to play their roles without complaint and certainly without criticism. This is why Kody reacted with such volcanic fury when the women started speaking their truth. Christine talking about feeling unloved was an attack on his image. Janelle questioning his pandemic rules was an assault on his authority. Mary simply existing as a reminder of his failed promises was an embarrassment he could not tolerate. He did not see these women as human beings with valid feelings and perspectives. He saw them as threats to his reputation, and threats needed to be neutralized. The tragedy is that Kody could have been remembered differently. He could have handled the breakups with grace and emerged as a complicated but ultimately decent man who tried his best. Instead, his pathological need to protect his ego at all costs has turned him into exactly what he feared most. The documented proof of his behavior has made him the villain of his own story, and no amount of damage control can change what 15 years of footage reveals about who he truly is. The timing of Kody Brown's so-called apology tour in season 20 is so suspicious that even casual viewers are calling it out. After years of spewing venom about his former wives, suddenly Kody wants to travel the country making amends. He visits Janelle in North Carolina, meets with Christine and her husband David in Nevada, and eventually sits down with Mary in Utah. On the surface, it looks like spiritual growth, but when you examine what is happening behind the scenes, it becomes crystal clear that this is calculated damage control disguised as redemption. Consider what was unfolding when this apology tour was being filmed. Christine had already filed her custody lawsuit in September 2024. Her tell-all memoir was scheduled for release in September 2025. The Coyote Pass property sale was being finalized, forcing Kody into awkward reunions with the women he discarded. Every single element of his carefully controlled narrative was crumbling simultaneously, and suddenly he felt spiritually called to apologize. The coincidence is almost laughable. Kody himself revealed his true motivations during an appearance on Nick Viall's podcast for the Special Forces reunion. When asked about his relationship with Robin and their future in reality television, Kody made a stunning admission. He said he would like to retire his wife Robin from reality television so they cannot pit them against each other anymore. Think about what that statement reveals. He is not concerned about healing his family or rebuilding relationships with his children. He is concerned about how the television narrative makes him and Robin look. During the same podcast appearance, Kody was asked whether his 3 divorces were expensive. His response was telling. He claimed the divorces were expensive emotionally in ways that are inconceivable, but quickly added that he did not pay alimony because all 3 of his former wives made more money than him. Even when discussing the emotional devastation of his his family falling apart, Kody could not resist making it about money and positioning himself as the victim of financially successful women. The apology tour episodes themselves reveal the hollowness of his supposed transformation. When Kody sat down with Christine and David, his first statement was essentially claiming that if he had not screwed things up, Christine would not have found David. Even in his apology, he managed to make it about himself. He could not simply acknowledge her pain and take accountability. He had to frame it as his mistake, leading to her happiness, as though she owes her current joy to his failures rather than her own courage to leave. Insiders suggest that Kody's sudden desire to make peace has everything to do with what Christine's book might contain. He cannot stop the memoir from being published. He cannot control what she reveals about their marriage, but he can attempt to soften the blow by appearing remorseful on television before those revelations hit. The apology tour is not about healing. It is about getting ahead of the narrative before Christine tells her unfiltered truth to the world. Kody Brown's memoir leaked before its official September release date, and the revelations inside have confirmed what Sister Wives fans suspected for years. The book, titled Sister Wife, A Memoir of Faith, Family, and Finding Freedom, pulls back the curtain on the manipulation and control that the cameras could only partially capture, and the details are even more damaging than anyone anticipated. One of the most explosive revelations involves Kody's system of punishment for wives who stepped out of line. Christine describes how the family filmed every other day and had to be extremely careful about what they said or the facial expressions they made on camera. If any wife said something Kody or Robin did not like, he would punish them by refusing to spend time with them or their children. This was not occasional behavior. This was a calculated system of emotional control designed to keep the women silent and compliant while cameras were rolling. Christine wrote directly about this dynamic, explaining that if she complained about their marriage on the show, Kody spent less time with her and her kids. Let that sink in. A father deliberately withheld his presence from his own children as punishment for their mother expressing legitimate concerns about their relationship. The cruelty is staggering, and it explains why so many moments on Sister Wives felt sanitized or incomplete. The women were literally afraid to speak their truth because doing so meant losing access to their own husband. The book also confirms long-standing fan theories about the family's controversial move from Las Vegas to Flagstaff in 2018. For years, viewers speculated that the sudden relocation had nothing to do with the reasons Kody presented on camera. Christine's memoir reveals the truth. The move was orchestrated so Robin could be closer to her son Dayton while he attended college. The family only discovered this real motivation 2 months after uprooting their entire lives. Kody had told the wives they were relocating because a professional football team was moving to Vegas and changing the city's dynamics. It was a complete fabrication. Christine describes her fury upon learning the truth, writing that she wondered if the entire move happened just so Robin could be closer to her son while Christine was being pulled farther away from her own adult daughters. Aspen and Mykelti in Utah. Years of family turmoil, financial strain, and fractured relationships can be traced back to a decision made primarily for Robin's benefit, while disguised as something else entirely. The memoir also details how Christine could not trust anyone within the family structure. She could not be vulnerable with Robin because everything went back to Kody. She could not even fully confide in Janelle until after they both left, because the dynamics of plural marriage made genuine intimacy impossible. The system was designed to keep the women isolated and dependent, competing for scraps of attention rather than supporting each other. Christine's book is not just her story. It is documented proof of everything fans witnessed playing out in fragments across 16 seasons. The financial hypocrisy of Kody Brown has reached levels so absurd that even his most generous critics cannot defend him anymore. While actively fighting Christine's child support lawsuit in court and claiming he cannot afford to support all of his children, Kody and Robin purchased a sprawling $2.1 million mansion in Flagstaff. The purchase closed on October 24, 2024, just weeks after Christine filed her custody petition. The optics are devastating, and the receipts are public record. This new estate is not a modest family home. It spans an astonishing 7,884 square feet and sits on over 2.5 acres of land. The property features 6 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, parking for 7 vehicles, an RV garage, and a separate guest house. Kody and Robin put down $420,000 as a down payment and took out a mortgage for $1.68 million. This is the same man who threatened Christine about lawyers taking all the money if she pursued child support. The timing makes everything worse. Just 1 month before this massive purchase, Christine filed her paternity and custody lawsuit, requesting financial support for their daughter Truly. She was forced to request paternity establishment because Kody's name never even appeared on Truly's birth certificate. Reports indicate Christine sought retroactive child support, potentially totaling around $100,000. Meanwhile, Kody was signing paperwork for a mansion with multiple fireplaces and a kitchen featuring 2 ovens, 2 islands, and 2 dishwashers. Christine did not hold back when asked about Kody's parenting during a radio interview shortly after filing the lawsuit. When prompted to describe her former husband in 3 words, she responded without hesitation, "Deadbeat dad," she said, then added oblivious for good measure. The description stung because the evidence supporting it is overwhelming. Court documents revealed that Kody saw Truly only 3 times during the 800 days they lived in Flagstaff before Christine moved to Utah. 3 visits in over 2 years. For his own daughter, the court clearly recognized the severity of this situation. Christine's lawsuit was classified as a significant custody dispute, which is the most serious track reserved for high-conflict cases involving potential concerns about child welfare. Mandatory mediation was scheduled for May 2025, and discussions about appointing a guardian ad litem to represent Truly's interests became part of the proceedings. This is not a routine custody arrangement. This is a legal system recognizing that something is seriously wrong. Kody hired a Utah attorney and filed a counterclaim in late October 2024, but the contents remain sealed from public view. Whatever defense he mounted, it cannot erase the fundamental contradiction of his position. You cannot claim financial hardship while purchasing a multi-million-dollar estate. You cannot present yourself as a devoted father while court records show you barely visited your own child. The financial receipts expose the truth that Kody's priorities have never included the children he was supposed to protect and provide for. One of the most disturbing moments ever captured on Sister Wives reveals exactly what sends Kody Brown into an uncontrollable rage. It is not infidelity. It is not financial betrayal. It is not even the dissolution of his family. What makes Kody absolutely lose his mind is criticism. The mere suggestion that he might be wrong about something triggers a volcanic eruption that exposes the frightening depth of his narcissism. During a confrontation with Janelle that was filmed and broadcast to millions of viewers, Kody completely unraveled. He screamed that he had endured 18 months of being persecuted by his own family. He raged about receiving the worst criticism and zero respect from Janelle and his sons. His face contorted with fury as he demanded to know why anyone wondered why he was so angry. The outburst was not about losing his wife or damaging his relationship with his children. It was entirely about people daring to question his authority and his decisions. What makes this scene even more chilling is Robyn's behavior during the explosion. While Kody screamed at Janelle, Robyn sat there and told Janelle to just keep talking even if it gets intense. She encouraged Janelle to stay and absorb the verbal assault rather than protecting her from it. Robyn enabled and facilitated Kody's rage, essentially telling his victim to remain in place while he unleashed on her. This dynamic reveals everything about how the household operated and why the other wives eventually fled. The criticism Kody referenced was not baseless attacks or unfair characterizations. His sons questioned his strict pandemic rules that conveniently allowed him to spend all his time at Robyn's house while avoiding his other children. Janelle pushed back on regulations that seemed designed to isolate her family rather than protect them. These were reasonable concerns from people watching their father and husband prioritize one household while neglecting everyone else. But to Kody, any questioning of his decisions constituted persecution. This inability to accept criticism explains why Kody's relationships with his older children have deteriorated so severely. He cannot acknowledge that his behavior hurt them because doing so would require admitting fault. He cannot apologize genuinely because genuine apologies require accepting that someone else's perspective has validity. Every conversation becomes about defending his ego rather than understanding the pain he caused. His children are not rejecting him for superficial reasons. They are rejecting a father who refuses to see them as anything other than extensions of himself who should obey without question. The footage of Kody's meltdowns has become viral proof of who he truly is behind the charming smile he presents in controlled interviews. You cannot edit away the veins bulging in his neck as he screams about disrespect. You cannot soften the menacing tone as he demands loyalty he never earned. The cameras captured a man who believes criticism is abuse and accountability is persecution. And no matter how many apology tours he embarks upon, that documented evidence of his true character will follow him forever. Kody Brown is attempting one of the most brazen history rewrites in reality television history, and the audacity is almost impressive. His apology tour focuses almost exclusively on 2 things. He is sorry for being angry during the breakups, and he is sorry for saying he never loved his former wives. That is it. That is the extent of his accountability. Decades of neglect, favoritism, manipulation, and emotional abuse get swept under the rug while he apologizes for his tone and one specific lie. When Kody sat down with Janelle in North Carolina, he admitted he had been a bastard for about 3 or 4 years regarding the breakups. He acknowledged that saying he never loved her was a lie, spoken from a place of pain. Janelle accepted this graciously, and viewers watched what appeared to be a touching moment of reconciliation. But notice what was missing from that conversation. No acknowledgement of the years he prioritized Robin over Janelle. No accountability for the pandemic rules that separated him from his sons. No recognition of how his favoritism damaged his children. Just an apology for being mean about the divorce itself. The meeting with Christine in Nevada was even more revealing. Kody sat across from Christine and her husband David, and his opening statement was telling. He essentially said that if he had not screwed things up, Christine would not have found David. Even in his supposed moment of humility, Kody framed himself as the catalyst for Christine's happiness rather than the obstacle she had to overcome. He still could not simply say he was wrong without making it about his role in her current success. Christine told podcaster Sarah Fraser that viewers would see things during the apology tour that would blow their minds. She said Kody made statements that made both her and David very angry. This suggests that even during his supposed redemption arc, Kody managed to say things that revealed his unchanged core. An apology that makes the recipient angry is not really an apology at all. It is performance designed to make the apologizer look good while avoiding genuine accountability. What Kody desperately wants viewers to forget is everything that happened before the breakups. Christine's book details years of feeling unloved, unvalued, and invisible in her own marriage. She writes about being told repeatedly that Kody was not attracted to her. She describes the impossibility of being vulnerable with anyone because the family structure prevented genuine intimacy. These are not wounds caused by Kody being angry during the divorce. These are wounds inflicted across decades of systematic emotional neglect. The apology tour allows Kody to acknowledge a small sliver of wrongdoing while ignoring the mountain of evidence documenting his failures. He can appear remorseful on television without ever confronting the real reasons 3 women left him. He gets to control the narrative one more time, deciding which sins deserve confession and which get buried. But Christine's book exists. The footage exists. And history cannot be rewritten when the receipts are preserved in high definition for anyone willing to look. The most damning testimony against Kody Brown is not coming from bitter ex-wives or tabloid speculation. It is coming from his own children, the people who witnessed firsthand what life with this man actually looked like. And their words cut deeper than any documentary footage ever could, because these are the voices of people who wanted nothing more than a loving father and were denied that basic human need. Mykelti, one of Christine's daughters and perhaps the child who remained most publicly supportive of Kody after the divorces, offered a devastating assessment during a fan question and answer session. She explained that if Kody took more accountability for any of his actions, his kids might actually reach out to him. Instead of blaming the children, blaming how they feel about his relationship with Robin, blaming the other parents, or blaming gossip, she said he could simply acknowledge what he did wrong and apologize. That simple act would go such a long way. The fact that even his most sympathetic child recognizes his refusal to accept responsibility speaks volumes. Maddie, Janelle's daughter, has been even more direct. She publicly called out her father for lying about her to the entire world. The specific lies she referenced remain somewhat unclear, but her willingness to publicly accuse her own father of dishonesty demonstrates how fractured these relationships have become. These are not children throwing tantrums over not getting their way. These are adults who watch their father choose one family over the rest and then lie about the reasons why. Perhaps the most heartbreaking evidence comes from the court documents in Christine's custody case. Records revealed that Kody visited his daughter Truly only 3 times during the 800 days the family lived in Flagstaff before Christine relocated to Utah. 3 visits in over 2 years for a child who lived in the same city. This was not a father prevented from seeing his daughter by distance or circumstance. This was a father who simply chose not to show up. Kody addressed his relationships with his children during his appearance on Nick Viall's podcast, and his framing was predictably self-serving. He claimed his children were victims of the divorce experience and that they naturally stayed closer to their mothers. He positioned himself as someone reaching out with his hand being slapped away, waiting patiently to try again. But he also admitted something troubling. He confessed to feeling suspicious of his own kids and acknowledged that he often feels motivated to apologize for things he does not believe he should own. Even while discussing reconciliation, resentment dripped from his words. The children's collective active silence and distance is not a coordinated attack orchestrated by vindictive ex-wives. It is the natural consequence of years watching their father prioritize Robyn's household while neglecting everyone else. It is the result of pandemic rules that kept them separated from their father while he spent every night with his favorite family. These kids lived the reality that viewers only glimpsed through carefully edited episodes. Their testimony matters because they have no reason to lie about the father they desperately wanted to love them. The inescapable truth haunting Kody Brown is that he cannot outrun his own documentary. 15 years of footage exist capturing every manipulative word, every narcissistic outburst, and every moment of blatant favoritism. He signed up for a show that promised to document his plural family's journey, and that documentation now serves as irrefutable evidence of exactly who he is. No apology tour can erase what millions of viewers witness with their own eyes. Kody once believed that controlling the narrative meant controlling the outcome. He thought he could spin every situation, charm every interviewer, and convince the audience that he was a misunderstood patriarch doing his best under impossible circumstances. But reality television has a way of exposing what people try to hide. The cameras captured his threats to Christine about child support. They recorded his screaming fits about criticism. They documented his absence from his children's lives while he built a fantasy world with Robyn in increasingly expensive mansions. The women Kody discarded are no longer playing by his rules. Christine wrote her truth in a memoir that exposes the darker realities the show could not fully capture. Janelle is building a new life in North Carolina, finally free from the man who made her feel invisible for decades. Mary has distanced herself from the faith and the family structure that kept her trapped in a loveless marriage. All three have found peace by walking away from Kody's chaos, and their continued success is the ultimate rebuttal to his claims that they could never thrive without him. The children are speaking out too. They are calling their father a liar. They are demanding accountability he refuses to provide. They are choosing relationships with their mothers over a man who showed them through his actions that they were never his priority. The family Kody claimed to love has voted with their feet, and the verdict is unanimous. He failed them all. What happens when Sister Wives finally ends? Industry insiders suggest that once the cameras stop rolling and the TLC paychecks stop arriving, the full story will emerge. The details too explosive for television, the secrets protected by network standards, the truth that even Christine's memoir might only hint at. Kody should be terrified of that day because he will no longer have producers softening his image or editors cutting away from his worst moments. The unfiltered truth will finally have its moment. Until then, the viral footage continues spreading across social media. New viewers discover the receipts daily. Fan communities dissect every contradiction and catalog every lie. Kody Brown wanted fame, and he got it. He just never anticipated that fame would come with permanent accountability for every terrible thing he said and did on camera. So what do you think? Is Kody's apology tour genuine redemption or calculated damage control? Can a man who spent 15 years proving who he is really change? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you will not want to miss what is coming next.